Do you feel like depression is a cycle? So in the 1960s, there was a psychiatrist named Aaron Beck, and he thought that there might be more to depression than people originally thought, which was depression is part of your emotions meeting your biology. And there are definitely biological and emotional connections to depression, but he looked at something else that was really unique. He thought depression is linked to negative thought patterns. So when you hear things like, you've got to think positively, there's a point to it. So what he noticed in his research was that people were kind of catastrophizing their life. Like, what will happen if I do this thing? It's going to fail. I'm going to fail and it'll be terrible. And let me tell you a personal story that I think relates to this. So there was a period of time in my 30s where I was in between relationships and I really wanted to find a relationship. And, typically what I would do is go to parties and I'd meet my friends, things like that. And I stopped going to parties because I thought every time I go to this party, I'm going to not meet anybody. Or if I meet someone, they will be already in a relationship. Or if I meet someone, they may be great and I may really like them, but they won't like me. So it just became a stressful, horrible thing to go to a party because I knew I was going to be inevitably disappointed. And it was true. I was going to parties and I was disappointed. It's like, oh, I've met that person before. I know everyone at this party. I'm not interested in anyone. But what I had to do was force myself sometimes to just go to the party, not with the intention of meeting somebody, but just to be with my friends and be happy. And doing that helped to kind of, turn the curve away from me just sitting in my apartment being depressed to me at least enjoying my friends and at least leaving the party or waking up the next day, hopefully not, hungover or something, but waking up the next day feeling like, I know my friends love me. I know that I love myself because I had fun at this party and we were together and that made life better. So what Aaron Beck was able to show was that if you have negative thoughts about yourself, about the world, about, what your future is going to show, you're going to act on those negative thoughts, and that's going to set you up into this kind of thought spiral where because you don't go to the party, you now feel really isolated and alone and nobody cares about me and I'll never meet somebody. And I should say, I never did meet the one that I was looking for at the parties. I'm almost 60 years old now, and have not met the one, but I'm still a really happy person. And that's a whole other story, which I will get into. So please, if you're interested, subscribe to this channel. Follow us. It's not just me here at Bounce Back Generation. We have lots of other content creators to share, who are going to share their stories. And um, anyway, so that's that's a really important point, is to think about where are your thoughts going, and are you taking a desire for something, a need for something like a relationship or success at your work or making X amount of money, and then are you creating thoughts around those things that you want that are sending you further into depression instead of taking you out of depression? Are you, in other words, using your thoughts to avoid certain situations? So what should you do if that's happening? Well, you don't need to dive into, the big thing. You don't need to say, okay, I'm depressed and I really want a relationship, or I really want to make, $150,000 this year. And so I'm going to do all of these things and work really, really hard. You don't necessarily have to do that. You could do little things like, I'm going to go to this party and I'll stay for a half an hour, or I'll tell them I'm going to have to leave in a half an hour just so I can have a way out if it feels like, well, it's just, another dud of a party or something. Or I'm going to work towards that $150,000 a year goal, but if I make it to 80,000, I'm going to give myself credit for that because I know I'm on a track. This is all about using your brain to help with your emotions. Don't let your emotions guide you because they will take you into a ditch. And the purpose of this part of your brain, which is your frontal lobe, is to be the one to say, stop, don't do that. Think, what are you going to do that's going to be different, that's going to make things better? leave me a comment and let me know if you've ever been able to do that, kind of use these thoughts, which, by the way, is kind of the basis for cognitive behavior therapy. Have you ever been able to talk yourself out of, a depression spiral? And what were you able to say to yourself? I think when we share these things with other people, it helps others to find the way and not think like I'm the only one who's going through this. I'm Jennifer Dillon from Bounce Back Generation. We create and share tools that help you to kind of connect to that spark that's in you that helps you to find joy and pleasure and success and meet the goals that you want in life, despite living in very challenging and changing times.